Hello, it's Child Crest. This is all about the child. We'll still continue with our series on community health. By now, you should know what community health is. Well, literally, you say health in a community. Communities are diverse. On this program, we have brought people from different communities, inclusive of the campus. And our guest today is from one of such campuses in Nigeria, a very high-rated one at that. She's a medical practitioner. We're continuing with our discussion on hygiene. Timileyin, where are you? Give us a background report before I bring in my guest into the studio. We'll be back shortly.
On this segment of the program, we're going to be looking at hygiene.
Keeping good hygiene is one's ability to keep a good, clean environment and maintain general cleanliness. How clean is our environment, both the rural and the urban settings?
Most of the parents, they find it difficult to keep their environment clean, and second, even their personal hygiene. Even most of the time when you visit there, you will come and meet the plate open. Maybe the plate they used is yesterday will just be kept down. They will just, the woman will just come from work without washing hand. We just use hand to carry breast and breastfeed the baby. Even their fingernail very dirty too. So I discover all those things. Then even the other times, I always go with my nail cutter. If I just find anything like that, like the dirty finger, I say take, or you scrape on finger. This one can also lead to diarrhea and vomiting.
They don't have good water. They are drinking from their well water and dog well water. That is the type of water they are using. And I keep on telling them that well water is not good because it's stagnant, it does not flow. One will come, sweat into it. Goat will come, urinate into it. Pass feces, fowl will come, everything. Then you people still keep on drinking the water. Meanwhile, there are boreholes all over. There is one by my health center now. They will not like to use borehole water. All they are saying is, after our forefathers have been using it, so why is our own different? So I used to tell them what our forefathers used to eat in those days is not what we are eating. We ourselves, we are using polished food. We are eating rubbish. We are not eating real raw food from the farm like what our forefathers used to do. So that is the main reason. And
how does improper hygiene affect our health? What is the importance of maintaining good hygiene impact positively for the entire communities? For answers to these and more, let's go over to the studio for a chit-chat segment of Child Crest.
You're welcome back. It's a great pleasure to welcome back to the set of Child Crest Dr. Adesua Blessing Tietie. She is a principal medical officer in Unilag Medical Center. You're welcome back to Child Crest.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for the other time.
You're welcome.
The health education continues.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a great pleasure for you to share it with us.
It is. It is.
Thank you very much. You know that if the last time we halted, I posed a question.
You did.
On sachet water. You see, I'm sure, I don't know if I'm the only one that have observed. People pick sachet water in a bit to clean it. I don't know if that's really cleaning or adding that. They do this way on their fabric, on their dress. Use their teeth to rip it off and they drink. What do you have to say about that?
Well, when I see that, I think of two things. One, it could be habit. It could just be sheer habit and the person just want to just do that because he saw other people doing it. Two, it could just be that the person is trying to actually remove some of the dirt, and then probably the person himself is a clean person, in quote. The person is trying to remove dirt. For in my second scenario, that means she feels that her clothes are clean enough.
Exactly.
And she feels that the sachet waters, the exterior is dirty. So, but then she may not realize, or he may not realize that our fabric too may be dirty because our clothes actually carries a lot. In fact, even way more than what that sachet water would, because the sachet water is likely to be probably in a cellophane bag in the first place. But then, either which way it is, doesn't make it right.
I'm not going to tell you to tell us if it's right for us to take sachet water or not, but if peradventure, because really, apart from the economic viability of that line of business now, a lot of people depend on that. If you must take sachet water, how best should you take it?
Okay. As I said, it doesn't make it right. I was actually making reference to the fact that whether the person does it from habit.
No, of course, I know.
But sachet water is here. I really doubt if it will ever go away. A lot of children even crave the drinking of it directly. In fact, for a lot of children, by the time you pour it into a glass cup, you use a scissors or something to cut it, which is the better way to do it. And you pour it into a glass, a clean glass. Because it is one thing you have to be sure where your receptacle is clean. They usually don't like it. They prefer you actually allowing them to suck on it.
Taking it as if it's ice cream or any other juice.
So, really, you should, whoever it is that is going to administer or take that, should go an extra mile cleaning it properly.
Okay.
It could be a very clean handkerchief that you have. You take your time to clean it and then try and cut it with something
clean scissors.
Yes.
All right. So let's even assume, like you said, because these children can throw tantrums if that's what they like. Should we go the extra length of washing that water thoroughly, the sachet thoroughly, maybe soaking in salty water or any other kind of water so that they can have their fill?
Well, if all else fail, I will personally, it's just a personal thing, I could just say yes. But then the water you're using to clean it too
must also be clean.
It must be clean. So it's very difficult to
holistic
ascertain
cleanliness.
that. Yes.
Now let's go to the domestic hygiene now. A lot of us have a lot of habits here and there that will compromise our hygiene. Can you enumerate the few things that we do that compromises our hygiene?
Well, we're in the domestic setting. Sneezing. Sometimes the sneeze will just catch up on you before you realize it. You are just sneezing without covering your mouth. That is one. Then sometimes when we are so hungry, we think we cannot wait, we want to quickly eat the food, we just go and eat. That's a habit sometimes that may actually compromise our hygiene. Then in the kitchen, when women are cooking, food hygiene goes a long way.
Exactly.
Before you handle even the food, as you're coming from the market and bringing things on the table, you're supposed to wash your hand before you handle the food. And then even when you now want to touch cooked food, after probably washing your meat, you're supposed to wash your hand properly because you've handled raw something and you now want to touch cooked one. You have to wash your hand before you touch the cooked one. You won't say, after all, I washed it and my hands were already wet. It's not for the hand to be wet. It's for the hand to be clean. And what can clean your hand is water and soap. So in between, and then even the surface you're going to cut your meat or your vegetables, you endeavor to make sure that it is thoroughly clean. So all those little things, something fall on the floor, you just pick it up and put it back. It's always better to either discard it or if you have to go an extra mile of re-washing it all over again. All those little things too can go a long way.
Yeah, you call it innocuous, you took it out of me. I mean, my next question was going to be a particular area where some of these hygienes are compromised. It's actually our kitchen, particularly the women. How clean should our kitchen be, particularly when it concerns disposal of refuse, where some of these things, will germinate and then, of course, be another avenue to spread diseases? Yes,
the kitchen is the main place where germs can actually thrive. When it now comes to diarrhea, as we were talking last week, it's something that we must really make sure that our kitchen is thoroughly clean in and out. The dustbin should be taken out every day. It's always better to have a dustbin that you can actually wear in your plastic bag and take it out the plastic bag, and it should have a lid over it so that in between flies cannot perch. And of course, most kitchen should have nets so that flies will not come into the kitchen and perch on your food or your dustbin while you are even inside the house. Yes, thank you very much for that explanation. One other aspect that is common in our kitchen is leaving unwashed dishes.
A lot of laziness, so, and these are some of them. And some people even leave it overnight. What's your take on this?
Well, it's always better to clean up. In fact, that's the only way you can actually say you have a good kitchen hygiene aspect of your life. For a lot of women, the best way to go around it, really, and that's what I do. As I'm cooking, I'm washing. So that at the end of the day, I won't have much to wash, because on your cooking day, if you do not wash as you go on, you end up having a lot of, and cooking can actually be very exhausting, especially when you have to do very large volume of cooking. So it's just as you are doing it, be washing
brings out the multitasking and all.
Yes, multitask. And then at the end of the day, for children, we encourage children, once you finish eating, wash. So individuals should learn to wash after what they eat. They should wash their utensils. So that way, it will not be overburdening for the mothers of the house. So it will be very much, as it will be easier for them to have a clean kitchen. So,
what people may not even readily think about is our nappies. You know, napkins are also quite important. It depends on how you keep them and they clean. Because if you say you have washed your hand with clean water, and then you now introduce a nappy that is not clean, what's your take?
In fact, it shouldn't have, the person should not bother washing her hand if the napkin she's going to use is dirty, because a lot of germs are thriving on it. And because our kitchen sometimes can be very humid, because we do a lot of cooking, so the place is usually hot, so the bacteria that will be on that towel will even be more than the one that is in our room. So we should actually take effort to wash our kitchen napkins as regularly as possible.
One other aspect is the way we keep our food. Talk of low electricity, and we have to store and all that. And then, of course, we store our food in fridges and freezers, and at the end of the day, we bring them out, and the hygienic nature of such meals or food is compromised. You answer me, but let's go for this short break. I'm still chatting with Dr. Adesua Tete. She's a principal medical officer with Unilag Medical Center. Let's go for a short break. I'm sure you are getting tips and learning a lot from our conversation. We'll be back shortly. This is Child Crest, and it is all about the child.
This community, most of them, they don't use toilets. They said they cannot sit on the toilet. They can't build the toilet in there. How can you be living with toilet in your house?
As a teacher, I don't even think I held a cane to flog any child or any student.
The Child Rights Act states clearly that a child is only permitted to live and work within his immediate family environment.
So, my beans and potato pottage is ready.
Fair child education is something, if Nigeria as a country takes hold of it, is going to help to develop this country.
Welcome back. The program is Child Crest. Our focus is on hygiene, particularly domestic hygiene. And sharing thoughts with me here is Dr. Adesua Tete of Unilag Medical Center. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, the question is pending. In a bit, you talked about large cooking earlier on. Okay, we don't have the time, just cook a month and then we store in the fridge. At the end of the day, bring out maybe lack of power. Some of these meals may be compromised. What is your take in a way to curtail diseases?
Yes, the fridge is actually one of the reasons why the fridge was invented in the first place was to store food for future use. But then with power outage, which a lot of people can relate with, it's very difficult to buy large volumes. Large volumes should be bought to save costs. But unfortunately, with the present situation on ground, our power is not steady. So for individuals, if you know where you stay is a bit, you don't enjoy enough power, I would advise that you minimize how much volume you cook, so that you will not have to keep it in the freezer for too long. Because by the time you even allow it to thaw and detour, it even loses the nutritional value. So you are not really getting what you actually cooked. And then whenever you bring out a food and you place it on the kitchen table and you see that this food looks compromised in terms of its hygiene or it has been contaminated by bacteria, it's better to just let it go. You have to trash it. Otherwise, eating such meal may give
compromise the health.
serious health
said
issues.
done. A family may say, oh, how do I get money to buy this again?
It's true.
And they will warm, but you are saying that at least it's better to...
When it is way more than what you can warm, it's better you just let it go.
All right. Right, you see, so much for domestic hygiene that we can't really exhaust it. But more disheartening is you go to some places, either in the rural area or even the slum in an urban setting. You see people living, cohabiting with heaps of refuse that normally should have been disposed of. What becomes of such community, so to say?
There's no way that kind of community can thrive health-wise. In fact, it's so disheartening. I've seen a couple of such myself, and in fact, it's so disheartening. All effort has to be made, to get urban slum, properly remodeled in such a way that they can live more healthy, as in a more healthier setting.
Our interaction with them even shows that, people just die of unexplained ailments, and some people have been already used to it, I'm in the city, so it doesn't really matter. Can you really get so used to living, cohabiting with refuse?
Some people were born into it from day one of it, so they may not have any other option. They may not know any other life except for that. So for such individuals, they have been born into it, so it's very difficult to change that mentality.
Meaning they have developed immunity?
Well, in some aspect, yes, because when you have more immunity, if you go to such a place to stay, you'll be shocked that you come down with a lot of illnesses, as against those who have been staying there for long. But that doesn't mean that they don't fall sick. Life expectancy in such places is way lower than in areas where you have good hygiene.
Okay, so what was your own recommendation for refuse disposal in a community, particularly those that still don't have proper good, let's say, toilet habits, so to say? That's another topic on its own anyway.
It's very important that the community should be educated. So one has to go all out, all efforts should be all out to community education on the need for them to see such habits as wrong. So when they've been educated, there has to be a lifestyle change for them so that they now do something about it. It has to be the community itself seeing it as a problem and rectifying it. If individuals just go and help them clear it, they will get it dirty all over again. So it's better that they themselves see it. So when an individual realizes it, it will now be his own effort to do such. So they now mobilize themselves to get a way of eradicating such habits of throwing things anywhere. There has to be designated places where people will throw dirt. There has to be penalties for such when people do not obey such rules. So those are the kind of things that would go a long way in making the community healthier.
You see, some communities don't even have a designated place for refuse disposal. And then you find heaps everywhere. Well, government can't do it all. A community must take the bull by the horn and say, okay, that's if they are not really used to just disposing refuse anyway. Final words on that, on community refuse disposal to curtail diseases in our environment.
Because as long as community is full of refuse, there's no way that community will enjoy good health. So they must be mobilized, they must be educated on the reason, they must know why it should be so. And all efforts should be put into place to make sure that defaulters are actually penalized. And then the community itself should designate a particular place where they should dispose their refuse so that they can enjoy better health.
Are you part of those advocacy programs, at least to enlighten people, because we are talking about this. You are from a community,
Yes.
and I know that as much as you try in your campus, there's optimal health. But when you have children, teenagers from diverse background, it poses a challenge. I am clean, well brought up from a clean home. Somebody is coming from, the opposite. How do you cope with this, with your medical practice?
Yes, we keep talking and we keep insisting on the right thing. We have most of the places designated for dustbin. Sometimes you see defaulters, you call them, talk to them nicely, because when you deal with teenagers, you just
rebel.
Yeah, rebel. So you just have to talk to them nicely, tell them the reason why it should be done like that, and we insist on the proper way it should be done. With time, the good ones actually influence the bad ones, and somehow we're able to get by.
Thank you very much. Continue the good work.
Thank you.
You cannot get tired. You have said the teenagers can be a little bit challenging. But you have to continue the nurturing.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you so
you
much.
and your team members at Unilag Medical Center.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Dr. Adesu Atiete, Principal Medical Officer with Unilag Medical Center. Thank you again for coming.
You're welcome, ma.
Keep knocking.
Yes, I will.
Time will come that you have another topic to come and share knowledge with us here.
No problem, ma.
The pleasure is yours, isn't
yes,
it?
the pleasure is
The
mine.
pleasure has also been mine hosting you. Thank you so much. Let's go over to other segments of the program now. We talked about hygiene, community. Let's give you this clip on how we can curtail hygiene, or how hygiene can curtail diseases in our communities. We'll be back to round off.
How clean is our environment, both the rural and the urban settings?
That's our show. It's been Child Crest. Our focus has been on hygiene. How best can we practice good hygiene personally, domestically, and in our communities? Of course, if we do that in an optimal level, we are sure to eradicate a lot of diseases in our communities. Let's do this again same time next week, when we shall bring you a fresh edition on Child Crest. It is all about the child. See you then. Bye for now.
Thank you.